Diary of a Teleporter, a Scary Boy with a Strange Secret, Kids' Adventure Stories, written by Jeff Child, narrated by John H. Feskins. Introduction. Perhaps it will surprise you how much we are like the boy in this diary sometimes. Despite his obscure appearance, he is a real person with thoughts and feelings that he is ready to share. His teleporting ability may have offended some in the past, but in this diary, he shows you how wonderfully it has served him and those around him. So get ready and dive into this engaging story of Eric. Chapter 1. The Dark. I like the dark. I just do. Some say I'm crazy, but that's just how it is. I don't like the bright sunlight, and having a shady spot just makes my day better. Why? Nobody knows. I don't even get it myself, but something inside me says I was meant to stay in the shadows. I'm a little lost. I haven't seen anyone who thinks the same way around for years, so I must have drifted away from them somehow. I always knew I was different than all those villagers in blue clothes coming my way. I'm just made out of something else, and that's okay, I guess. One of my goals in life is to find my own kind of people. They must be somewhere, right? I mean, it's not like they've all gone extinct. Or have they? Well, here's the dilemma. If they are alive, they are probably hiding in the shadows, just like I always do. That doesn't make it easy, does it? It's like we are all subconsciously preventing each other from finding each other by hiding. Not very smart if you ask me, but I understand since I am the same way. So that's my story. I guess I can stop writing now, but that would be completely boring, wouldn't it? Okay, I'll tell you the rest. It started when I was little. Like I mentioned, I hate the light, but I was expected to go to a regular school with all the regular kids and behave in a regular way. Not cool. I went to school early in the morning so I could get there before the sun rose. I just wanted to be inside so I didn't have to experience it shining in my face. But then the problem would start all over again in the classroom, when the teacher turned on the classroom lights and I still felt like it was too bright. Again, not cool at all. I was about to die in there. Oh, and Christmas? Not for me. Why? Because of all the candles. People were carrying them everywhere, and although they weren't as bright as lights, the flames of an actual fire would hurt my eyes even more. "What's wrong with him?" one of the kids asked her teacher one time. "He just doesn't like the light, sweetie," the teacher answered. "Why? Light is great. I think it's just silly," the girl said. "Well, why don't you like the dark?" I asked her, seeing what she would answer to that. "You can't see in the dark, weirdo," she sneered. "Here, take a look at this." I bent forward, having my curiosity take over and leaving my common sense behind me, fully trusting this mean girl for some reason. "See how you like that?" she said as she shone a flashlight in my face. "Oh!" I yelled. "Get it out of my face!" "Stop that," the teacher said out loud, taking the flashlight away from her. "You're just a freak," the girl said as she was pulled away. "Have a nice life, freak." It wasn't the only time I got bullied, but I figured it out. One time I was walking through the streets of the village with no particular purpose in mind, when my eye caught the sight of an extraordinary solution to my previous problem: sunglasses. Awesome! I can't believe I didn't think of that before. I immediately counted my pocket change, made sure I had enough, and went inside to buy them. When I came out of that store with my newly acquired item, I was a different person. The good thing about my quirks was that I was better at seeing in the dark. I surpassed all the other children when it came to night games. They were holding their hands in front of them, attempting to feel whatever was there, but I raced from one end to the other when I had to. One time we were playing Capture the Flag in the dark. Kids were sneaking around and trying to hide on the ground. "Shh," one of them said. "They'll see us. Duck." Just like the others, I kept low and lay on the humid moss next to a big tree. I saw everything, even a half-mile away. The sun had already set, and the only dim light that shone through the trees of the forest was that of the moon. However, it wasn't enough for any of the boys to make sense of what was going on. They just couldn't see that far because it was too dark outside. "Give me those binoculars," one of the boys said to another. "Sure, but I'm warning you, they don't help much. I couldn't see anything with them. Who knows where their flag is? It could be anywhere for all I know. What color does the flag have? I asked. Why would that even matter? The boy asked. The area is pitch black out there. There is no way you could distinguish color now anyway. I could, I put forward. Sure. For what it's worth, they said the flag would be red. Piece of cake, I said. It's right there. I pointed at a 40-degree angle somewhat in front of me. You're kidding, right? How can you see that? You're just playing with us, aren't you? The boy said. No, I'm serious. My eyes are pretty good in the dark. The flag is on top of that little hill beyond the sycamore tree and the giant rock. It's standing behind it on a flagpole made out of a branch. I think he's onto something, another boy said. I say we trust his judgment and go for it. Sure, the other boy agreed. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's run! Go, go, go! A kid with glasses shouted as he sprinted in the direction I had pointed at. It was a moment of trust. I loved it. We all ran towards the flag, zigzagging through the trees ahead of us until we reached the heavy rock I pointed out. The moonlight seemed to help a little, and before they knew it, the boys in my team were holding the opponent's flag. They cheered and expressed their joy with victory cries. I got patted on the back and congratulated by the adult who was in charge of the game. The other team hated me, but at least I gained favor with half the class. Another time, one of the children in the neighborhood, Kevin, came to my door. Would you like to go hunting with my dad and me? He asked. Why are you asking me? We hardly know each other. Take one of your friends instead, I said. You're right, he said. I don't know you very well, and you probably know nothing about me either. We don't hang out together and we're not good friends. But I heard of what you did with capturing the flag. I was on the other team and I hid the flag so well in the dark. I was amazed that you found it. Afterwards, the boys from your team were bragging about how they did it, and they mentioned how far you could see in the dark. So I was wondering if you could accompany us and help us find some of those nervous deer we always miss. I had to think for a moment. I had never gone hunting before. I didn't even know how to handle a bow and arrow. Come on, Kevin insisted. My dad would love it. I know you could help us. Okay, I agreed. I'll come along. I followed him to his parents' house, after which we went inside. The home looked cozy and warm, with fuzzy furniture and with family portraits and paintings on the walls. I wasn't too crazy about the red color of the walls, but I did like the hunting trophies his father had proudly hung above the chairs and tables. Some animals who were the victims of his endeavors were turned into soft rugs or coats. It was clear that hunting had been a family tradition for a long time. Dad, I brought Eric home. He said he will go hunting with us. It was silent for about 5 seconds. Then I heard, Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go shoot some deer. A giant man with a beard, who was obviously Kevin's father, walked down the stairs with a strong bow and fancy arrows on his back. He was wearing black leather boots, a brown jacket, and a thick wide belt with a golden buckle on it. When he reached the main floor, we got introduced to each other, said goodbye to the missus, and left to the woods. At first it was boring. We saw no game, nothing, no rabbits, no birds, no deer. I was even told there were some wolves and cougars in this forest, but none of them had the guts to show up. It's like they knew we were there to claim their lives. We looked for 2 hours, and all we saw was a squirrel who rapidly disappeared in his tree trunk. Then I saw something. There, I said, pointing to a deer. Where? Kevin's dad asked anxiously. Over there. Don't you see it? He put his hand above his eyes, as if that would make him see farther. He squinted his eyes and tried to concentrate. Then he shrugged and admitted that he still didn't see anything, but he would move in that direction because I said so. We got closer and closer. All that time I could see the deer and knew exactly where to aim. But I didn't have the bow and arrow. Kevin's father did. At times I was tempted to take it away from him and shoot the deer myself, but I knew I wasn't good at shooting. It wouldn't make any sense. So here we were. One of us was a skilled archer but couldn't see far enough, and the other, me, saw perfectly in the dark but wasn't able to shoot a single arrow. It frustrated me. I was tired and hungry, and this hunting thing wasn't going anywhere. As I kept telling him where to aim, he continued asking me what to aim for, since he didn't see anything further than a few feet ahead of him. I wondered if there was perhaps some way to hand him my abilities, or to learn archery so we could have more success in the future, but that would take hours of practice, and there was no way I could make him see in the dark that far. After a while, I had enough. I walked over, snatched the arrow from his hand, and turned around. What happened then was the beginning of my path to my goal in life, to find my own kind. Poof! I teleported next to the deer and put the arrow in its butt. The deer screamed in pain and died instantly. I was shocked. How did I do this? I just teleported to the deer without thinking. Or, well, at least I thought of going there, but I didn't know what else I could have done to make it happen. Yes, I was able to teleport. I just never thought about it much. "Eric!" Kevin and his dad shouted. "Where are you?" "I'm over here," I shouted back. Within seconds, they arrived at the spot I was at and looked with big eyes at my hunting prey, lying on the ground. "Is it dead?" Kevin asked. "It sure is," I said proudly. "How did you get over here so quickly?" Kevin's dad asked me. "I have no idea," I said. "It seems like I teleported, but I've never done that before, so I'm still figuring out how it works." "You are great, little boy," Kevin's father said as he hit me on the back and smiled. "We will have deer for dinner tomorrow. You are invited to come over and eat." Chapter 2: Caves and Mine Shafts. After discovering my teleporting ability, I was eager to practice and become better at it. Don't get me wrong, seeing in the dark is great, but teleporting was awesome. However, I didn't have it under control very well. I failed to teleport most times that I really wanted to. I trained my power by focusing hard on a location I wanted to transport my body to. Sometimes it worked, but I got distracted too often. Soft sounds, gushes of winds, chirping crickets, everything got my mind sidetracked. I just couldn't do it. It had to be luck, I thought. I will tell you of 2 instances that I was happy that it worked, besides from the hunting experience, that is. The first time after the encounter with the deer, it worked when I wanted to teleport to a distant cave. The cave was impossible to reach from just walking up the rocky mountain. The steep stone walls prevented anyone without extreme climbing skills to get there. I was more curious than ever to find out what was up there. My desire was strong. The concentration was there. I closed my eyes and... poof! I stood on the edge of the rocks far above the ground in front of the dark cave. This was going to be fun. I took a deep breath and enjoyed the view from the high altitude. Not long after that, I turned around and walked into the cave. It was dark and spooky. I loved it. Being able to see in the dark, my brains analyzed every moving creature in there. I didn't see much except for some bats. They didn't do anything to me. They just hung there, comfortable in their obscure habitat. I kind of felt like them, enjoying the dark, remote place away from the world. I'm sure that if I had been an animal, I would have been a bat. I fumbled through the dark and turned on my 6th sense by looking ahead. Nobody was there. I liked being alone for a moment. But I soon came to realize that I wasn't alone at all. After several minutes of silence, I heard an awful noise. It sounded like a growl from a predator or something. Whatever it was, it sounded like it was going to eat me. I hid for a moment, hoping it would just pass me by, but it didn't. The sound came closer and closer. I heard it again. It wasn't going to go away. I stood there with my back against the wall and holding my breath. It was scary. I didn't even know where the snarling noise was coming from, nor who or what was making it. Slowly and subtly, I turned my head around the corner of the wall I was standing against. I got startled. I was incredibly scared, because at that second, I was only a few inches away looking into the eyes of a big bear who was bending over and looking angry. He showed his sharp canines, which had most likely cut through numerous pieces of meat from his prey. "Wah!" I yelled, running for my life towards the entrance of the cave. The bear didn't hesitate and followed me, anticipating to devour his midday snack. But I wasn't going to be his meal. I was determined to extend my life beyond this cave. Snap! He bit in my direction and barely missed my leg as I was jumping from wall to wall, swift as a rabbit, using my athletic abilities and powers to see in the dark to find my way out. There it was, the entrance. A little longer and I would be saved from this monstrous creature. But he was approaching, and I had nowhere to go except down. I looked into the abyss, looked back, looked down again, turned my head, and saw my enemy approaching faster. This was it. I had to do this. I closed my eyes and jumped off the cliff. In the air, my heart pounded more rapidly, my senses sharpened. I thought I was going to die, but in a split of a second, I remembered the skill I had developed to teleport. I just hadn't fully developed it yet, but now would be a good time to use it, I thought. I concentrated as hard as I could and tried not to think about the solid floor I was going to land on if it wouldn't work. Please let me be home, I thought as I whispered the words to myself. Poof! What happened? Was I dead? No, I felt alive. I took a glance in my new location. I was home. It worked. Okay, no more caves for now, especially not the ones with big, hairy bears in them. What else would be a fun, dark hiding spot? I thought for a minute again, and I got an idea. A mine shaft. Mine shafts were dark. They were often deserted and full of interesting rocks and things to explore. So out I went, on my way to find a mine shaft. It took me about an hour before I came across one, just outside of town, dead and deserted, as I had predicted. From the signs, it appeared as if there hadn't been a single soul in it since 10 years ago. Perfect, I thought, as I concentrated hard and tried to see if I could teleport inside. Chapter 3. Water. Poof! I appeared in the mine shaft, just as I had hoped. This teleporting thing was becoming very handy. I walked deeper into the mine, passing a broken cart used for transporting rocks and valuable gems in the old days. I noticed some glimmering objects with my night vision, and I thought I saw a rat disappear into a hole in the stony wall. Stalactites and stalagmites decorated the dark view. It was beautiful to observe during my hike into the hollow depth of the mine shaft. I enjoyed the decor for about 20 minutes until I heard the sound of flowing water. I don't know why, but I hated water. I already got the creeps by hearing the water run from a tranquil waterfall I discovered moments later in the cave. There was no threat, but the image of wetness gave me the shivers. So yes, there it was. A little waterfall flowing through the mine and leading into a stronger current that could drag any human down into confusion and claustrophobia. No, thank you. I was going to leave this place immediately. Only seconds after I decided to do so, however, I tripped over a rock on the path to the exit. It hurt my toe, and with my knee I bumped into another rock, scraping the surface of my poor limbs. But that still was neglectable, if only it hadn't set more events in motion. The rock bumped into another rock, which was blocking the current and preventing it from spreading. Nonetheless, with the rock being removed, I watched in terror as the water began to spread throughout the mine shaft like a wildfire, but the opposite, because it was water, not fire. Anyway, I ran away in fear, hoping to reach the part where the mine shaft would lead me outside. For a few minutes, I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. There, I said. Wait a minute. This exit is blocked. How did I get in here in the first place? Was it blocked before, or did someone just recently put this boulder in front of it? Then I remembered. I never came into this mine shaft naturally in the first place. I was able to bypass the boulder by teleporting. This was terrible. How was I going to get out? Oh, okay, by teleporting, of course. But what if it wouldn't work this time? I looked behind me and dreaded the flowing water, which was now coming closer and closer. Great. First, I was trying to run away from a bear. Now it was water. If there was one way I didn't want to die, it would be by drowning. I'd rather be eaten by a bear. The water was really close now. I touched it. Ah, it's so wet, I yelled in horror. I hate this stuff. There was nothing I could do, though. I pushed against the boulder, but it wouldn't budge. I tried to teleport to the other side, but it was to no avail. I was stuck, and the water level was rising by the minute. It wasn't long before I had to hold my breath and dive underwater to look for a way out. Some water was seeping through the cracks, but the cracks were way too small for me to go through. This was it. I was done for. Goodbye, cruel world. I didn't think I would exit this world by drowning. At that moment, I supposed there would be a special place in Ender Heaven for those who have drowned by water. I couldn't hold my breath much longer, but I thought of giving it one more try. I focused, I squinted my eyes, then closed them, and I thought of any place outside that mine shaft. No, it didn't work. Farewell now. Poof! Ha! Ha ha! I was so happy! I was gone from that yucky wetness. I didn't care that the mine had been clogged with water and was now overflowing into the nearby green hills. I was saved. No more water. But my luck ran out. Boom, boom, boom. A tempest? A storm? Are you kidding me? Before I knew it, it was pouring rain. With a disappointed face, I ventured home and accepted the harsh reality I found myself in. The world was full of water, whether it was in the sky, in a mine shaft, or some disgusting river. Oh well, don't even think I took a shower that night. Yuck. Chapter 4. Don't Stare. I don't like it when people stare at me. They can come close, but when they have this penetrating gaze in their eyes, it feels like they're judging me. It happened in the school hallway not too long ago. There were a few dozen children walking around because the bell had rang and it was in between classes. We all had a few minutes to grab one or two items from our lockers and head to the next classroom with a new teacher and a new subject. It was as if one of the girls couldn't keep her eyes off me, and in a bad way, not a lovey romantic one. She looked at me like I was from a different planet or something. Maybe I am, I don't know, but that was not the point. The main reason I don't like it is because I don't know what they are thinking, although you can see them having 100 different thoughts. What are you looking at? I sneered at the girl across the hallway. I could just feel her glare from 20 feet away. It made me feel uncomfortable. She turned the other way and started whispering to her friends, who snickered and looked at me as soon as she said something while pointing in my direction. What? You've never seen a normal boy before? I asked. Hey, take it easy, buddy. They're just girls, a voice behind me said. When I looked behind me, some popular guy was trying to tell me I was a hothead. Besides, he continued, you are pretty hideous. You can't deny that. Maybe you already knew that, but didn't want to face the truth. I was boiling. Where did this arrogant kid find the guts to stand up to me like that? I never offended him, and yet he was here in front of me insulting me and laughing like the annoying girls in the corner. I couldn't take it anymore. At moments like those, I just blow up, not literally, and let my instincts take over. I stormed at him and began headbutting him, throwing him against the lockers behind him. Two other boys jumped on me and joined the fight, protecting their friend as his little minions. I can't really say whether or not I won the fight. In the end, I feel like they threw a few lucky punches, but I had damaged them more than they had harmed me. However, I was the one appearing in the principal's office, swallowing an unnecessary lecture about conduct, school policies, and more completely boring topics. But then it happened. The person I met after school changed my life. It was a total turnaround from that point on. The tantrums would never reoccur, and my character would be shaped and refined. On the other side of the school, under a large tree, I saw another teleporter. Chapter 5. Practice. He waved at me, beckoning me to come near. I followed his silent request and moved towards the tree. He was a lot larger, more like an adult, a real man. He looked like me, but more mature and bigger. He was just as black, though, and it seemed right there and then that he was the only one who understood me. The name is Alexander, he said. What's your name, young boy? It's Eric. Well, Eric, that over there was an interesting display of uncontrolled rage and immature emotions. Would you please explain to me what happened? I didn't mean any harm, but my gut feeling told me I was being judged, I said. So? He asked. Doesn't that say something? They were laughing and staring at me. It was totally irritating. And how do you feel now? Alexander asked. Still a little annoyed, I said, and perhaps a little stupid for not controlling my rage. Exactly, Alexander said, and you will never feel good enough about yourself until you start doing that. Doing what? Controlling your emotions, of course. Follow me. You have lots to learn. My home is not too far from here. I'll guide you there, if that's okay. Sure, I said. On the way to his house, he gave me lots of advice, but it didn't feel like an unneeded lecture like earlier. This guy understood me. He comprehended the challenges I was trying to face and the hardships I had to cope with because he was the same. His sympathy for me was even larger because he had the same powers and abilities as I did. We have a special gift, Eric, he said. I recognized you as being the same as me. We have the ability to see in the dark and to teleport. You've already experienced that, I presume. But now the challenge is to control yourself and find inner peace. You have to reach deep inside of yourself and find your worth. If you know who you are and what you are capable of, you won't be turned off by a little staring or a few judgmental kids who don't know you. I understand, I said. Can you teach me how? That's precisely what I plan to do, young boy, he said with a smile. Chapter 6. Teleportation. Alexander's yard looked beautiful. He had vagrant flowers in the corners, columns and statues adorning the middle, which was paved with gray tiles, and the blossoming trees were everywhere, shedding their white and pink leaves as the wind blew against them. I noticed he took great care of it. It must have taken a lot of work. We will start with the rock training, Alexander said. Just pick up the rock over there and take it to the other side of the yard. Piece of cake, I thought, walking to the rock he pointed at. But as I tried to pick it up, I had to correct myself. It was way too heavy. I couldn't do it. I tried and tried, making sure I wouldn't give up too easily in front of this master teleport trainer, but no matter how many times I exerted myself, I just couldn't lift the stupid rock. Impossible, isn't it? Alexander said laughingly. This stuff is pure gold. It is heavier than anything else I know of. Nobody I know personally has ever been able to lift this. Then why are you making me try it? I asked. Because you are a teleporter, and as such, you need to understand that your ability to teleport distinguishes you from the rest. You can do things that others can't. Your power doesn't just let you teleport, but also allows you to teleport objects to a different realm. Here, I will demonstrate. Watch me trying to lift up this object, like you did. Alexander lifted, started sweating, and made growling noises, as if he was using all his strength. His face turned red, and it looked intense, but his efforts failed miserably. See, I cannot do it either. Now watch this, he said. He placed his arms underneath the golden rock and teleported to the other side of the yard within a fraction of a second. The gold teleported with him, and it seemed as if he had to put little effort into all of it. Wow, how did you do that? I asked. The mind is stronger than the body. It doesn't matter how big or little you are. What matters is what happens in here, he said, pointing at his brains. Come over here and try the same thing. Just transport it back to the spot where we started, and you'll see how easy it can be. I ran towards him and got excited. This was going to be fun. It was amazing what Alexander just did, and I was enthusiastic to learn the same skill. I put my arms underneath it, lifted, and thought of teleporting. Nothing happened. Bummer. Now what? I asked. Why couldn't I do it? I did what you did. No, you didn't, he said. It looks like you did what I did. What you did with your body is exactly the same thing I did. Yes, you are right about that. But what happened in your mind was completely different. What were you thinking about? Just about teleporting to that spot over there with this golden thing. Nothing more. That's what I mean. How did you feel when you thought about that? He asked. I don't know, I just wanted to do it, that's all. I was going to make an attempt and then wait and see if it would happen. He rolled his eyes and sighed. Then he put his arm around my shoulder and started his brief lecture. You will never be able to do it with that attitude, kid. First, you have to believe you can do it. You need to believe in yourself as well as in the possibility of succeeding. You have to block out all negative thoughts and doubts, all criticism from the past, and see yourself as greater than the tiny being you appear to be. If you can muster a little belief in yourself, you can accomplish more than you imagined before. Makes sense, I said. But that's not all, he continued. Believing in yourself isn't the only thing you need to work on. You must also know the reason why you are doing it. If you have sufficient reason to do the task, then create an inner will, a burning desire to this, feeling the pain of the hypothetical situation of failure. Understood? Yes, I do. Good. Now let me help you a little with becoming more motivated by telling you what's going on. Chapter 7. Self-Mastery. Alexander suddenly got very serious. Actually, what am I talking about? It was like he was always serious. But this time, he looked straight at me and made sure I paid attention. I think I even saw some emotion as I listened to his words. There is a realm, he began. It's a realm full of teleporters, like you and me. They call it the Cave. Hundreds of teleporters live there in harmony. It's a great place where all our needs are taken care of, like darkness and less social pressure, and all the foods and means necessary to keep us alive. But there is one problem. And what is that? I asked. The entrance is blocked. They don't know about it. There are numerous exits, and they are all blocked, but there is one that is penetrable. We are able to get rid of the rocks blocking it. All we need to do is teleport the blocks and materials out of the way. Doesn't sound too hard, I said. And yet it is, Alexander continued. The blocks are all made of this gold material. There is no way we can lift them, as you've already concluded from your experience with this small block of gold. Then we'll just teleport them out. You just said so yourself that it's the only way to do it. I know, he said, but it's too much, too big to do it by myself. I have been trying for years, Eric. I think it's just one of those times when we have to combine efforts and increase our teleporting power that way. Okay, so I'll help, I said. Thank you, Eric. That was the answer I was waiting for. Let's continue your training. It will take more for you to become powerful enough to help me out with this. Much more. That was about the last thing we said to each other for a while, because after that, he insisted that I would train day and night, teleporting the block of gold to the other side of the yard. Sometimes it worked, sometimes not. I wasn't too sure why I didn't succeed all the time. Maybe something was still lacking in my self-confidence, or my character, or something. But anyway, the training was hard. I had to focus all day and sometimes even late into the evening. Alexander was a strict trainer. He made me exercise, meditate, and resist temptation by holding food in front of me without giving it to me. He encouraged me at times, but most times he was just calm and patient with my slow progress. It took a lot out of me. He was right. Sometimes I doubted if I would ever find the strength to consistently remove a heavy object like that. You're almost there, I heard him say after a week of training. You're just lacking one thing. What do I still lack? I asked. Let's go to town and find out if you do. I'm not sure, but something is telling me you will find the answer to your problem there. I didn't know I still had a problem. I mean, I thought I was doing great. Nothing was wrong, right? But there was. We went to a store and bought some food, along with some training items and a little snack. I walked out of the store, following in Alexander's footsteps until I heard a voice close to me. It was a guy from school. Again, I don't know why, but I hate it when people stare at me. And this boy wasn't just staring at me, he was making silly faces at me too. I couldn't take it. I couldn't resist. I just felt the anger inside of me. I wanted to punch him and attack him so much. Still, I kept it under control for a while. It was eating at me so fast that I became anxious and started shaking a little. The boy was still looking weird at me, on purpose. Oh, how much I wanted to damage that annoying brat. I couldn't hold it in anymore. It was too much. I leaned backwards, ready to run forward at high speed, but suddenly, poof! Alexander appeared in front of me. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I just can't take it anymore," I said. "I have to kill that little brat. Well, not literally kill, but you know what I mean." "This is what you lack," he said calmly. Then it dawned on me. The one thing I was lacking was self-control. If I could just master my anger, I would be able to liberate my thoughts and fully focus on teleportation. This was the one thing I still had to learn. I took a deep breath. "Okay," I said. "I understand now. I think I am ready to concentrate on my teleportations now." Alexander smiled. "Almost," he said. "The only thing left is to test it." "Huh? What do you mean?" But before I could say another word, Alexander already turned around and yelled at the boy in the corner of the street, "Come here and dare make those faces in front of us, wimp!" "Alexander, what are you doing?" I asked softly. "Remember," he said, "complete control. I believe in you, Eric." The boy came within a few feet distance and stuck his tongue out at me. He made weird noises, called me dumb and stupid, danced around me like a chicken, pushed me over, and told me how ugly and depressing I looked. I didn't move a muscle, not even the muscles in my face. I just stood there. I was calm. I controlled myself. I didn't say a word back. When he pinched my arm, I just took it. "Why don't you do something back? Come on, face me," he said tauntingly. I didn't say a word. I concentrated. "Weirdo, weirdo, dark and dreary weirdo," the little bully kept repeating. Poof! I vanished. I am sure he was shocked, but I didn't know and I didn't care. All I knew was that at that moment I stood in Alexander's big yard with the block of gold in front of me. I bent over, put my arms underneath it, and teleported it to the other side without hesitating. Poof! It wasn't long before I heard another poof right next to me. "You did it, Eric," he said. "You are ready to help me out. Together, we can free the other teleporters." Chapter 8. The Cave. Before we knew it, we ended up on the edge of a mountain. He was right. There were a lot of golden blocks there, all preventing anyone from going in or out of the cave. "Hold on a minute," I said. "If they can teleport, then why don't they just teleport out of the cave?" "Clever boy," he said. "They don't know what's out here. Most of those teleporters have grown up in the cave, knowing of no other place. They're happy. It's great there, but they aren't able to live freely or expand their boundaries. Most of what we're doing is just making them familiar with the outside world, so that they know what's out here." "Then why didn't you just teleport to them?" I asked. "You're just full of questions today, aren't you?" he said laughingly. "Well, I guess it should all make sense. I'll tell you why. You see, I could teleport to them and tell them of the outside world, but to them it means nothing. They have to see it first in order to teleport over there. So I could teleport there and back, but it wouldn't accomplish anything. I couldn't take them with me. That's why the best way to open their eyes is to remove the blockage from the entrance." "I get it," I said. "That way they can walk out and see it for themselves." "Yes. Now will you help me get rid of all this gold?" "Of course," I said. Then we just stood there, closing our eyes and focusing on the blocks ahead of us. We both took a deep breath and placed our arms underneath the ruins and huge boulders blocking the entrance. "On 3, he whispered. 1, 2, 3. Paying attention to the blocks and nothing else, we teleported to a distant tree. We opened our eyes and discovered that we had managed to pull away some of the golden blocks. "Again," Alexander said, "this is working. If we keep this up, we should be done within a reasonable time period." We kept at it. We went back and forth, carrying rocks and blocks away from the entrance. Eventually, we came to the last of them. Together, we joined forces and took away every single block. "Let's meet your new friends," Alexander said with a smile. He was right about the end. It was a beautiful, obscure cave, spacious and wide. As far as the eye could see, only an eye that could see in the dark, that is, there were dark tunnels and open spaces. I loved it right away. Everything went well after that. I met hundreds of teleporters with the same teleporting abilities, learning of their adventures in the cave. Alexander and I took a lot of them outside and showed them their possibilities. It didn't take long before all the trapped teleporters were able and motivated to teleport all over the world. Their eyes had been opened, and they could explore more than they had ever imagined before. Of course, I often stayed in the cave. It was a safe, comfortable place for any teleporter. I finally felt like I belonged. The other teleporters were friendly and helpful. It was a great spot that I would treasure for the rest of my life. But every once in a while, I went back to the village, the mountains, and even the cave with the bear, just for fun, and just to use my teleporting abilities. The end.